good afternoon, good morning, or good evening from wherever you are joining us today. I'm Lucas Dominguez, founder and CEO of Shield 360 based in London, in the UK. We are back. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since our last episode with Subhash Sharma from Hawk Vision AI. It was a great talk about computer vision. And today, it's really special because I'm going to talk with two special guys building a amazing company, and I'm very happy that they accepted my invitation. And that we're going to talk about something that is really really interesting nowadays, which is a mix of AI, immersive training, gamification, and some bits of virtual reality as well. So let me first talk a bit about myself and Shield 360. As I said, I am the founder of the business. This is a podcast that I started 2 months ago because it's my mission to bring this topic about safety 4.0 to the mainstream so I can support my peers and my safety colleagues to understand what's happening in the world in regards to moving from traditional health and safety to something more, let's say, digital. And it's been great to have this talk with founders, CEOs, and people that are not just talking about it. They are building stuff. They are creating companies to enable a safer and smarter workplace for organizations around the world. So, as I said, today I'm going to talk with the founders of SAFVR. They're based in Singapore. So, welcome, Prahalad, founder and CEO, and also Mohan, who is the CTO of the business. It's great to have you in the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. It's great having here, and thanks for inviting us to your podcast as well.
It's my pleasure. Hi, Mohan. How are you doing today?
Hi. I'm doing great. Happy to
Amazing.
be here.
It's my pleasure. Well, I am very excited about this conversation for two reasons. The first one is about showcasing the success of these guys in creating this amazing company, in also addressing a very timely issue that we have in the world in regards to bridging the gap between traditional health and safety. It's something more robust, which is only achieved, in my view, by integrating technology in the way we deliver health and safety, but also because I am a safety advisor to the business. So I am following the guy's journey. I know what they are building, and in my view, it's a big success. Let me go back a few years in time, guys. When you were deciding about founding this business, right? So what led you to found SafeVR, Prahalad?
All right. So that's a good question, and so it all started quite in a very accidental way. It's not nothing planned that we have to venture into safety. So it all began with a long flight journey. The gentleman beside me, seated next to me, started a very casual conversation, and he was from a very big group, and he was one of the vice president of that group as well, and he was sharing his experience about in general, like what is happening in the organization, what are the challenges they're facing with respect to training. Then he emphasized on the safety of the employees. So that's where it all began, and then we shared our contact, and we went on to work for the very same organization, our very first safety project back in 2019. So that is the very beginning of safety and our understanding of safety as well, because previous to that we were quite we didn't know anything about safety in the industries and all this regulatory stuff and all. So thanks to that gentleman, and that's where it all began, and that what led us to creating safer in a much more structured and productized way. And I would like to thank here also Antler, our very first pre-seed investor, who trusted in our as a founders, in our product, in our vision, and they gave us the first very check, and we started in Singapore last year. Yeah.
That's really good. And you mentioned about Enter and your previous experiences. and you're serial entrepreneur and founder, right? So this is not your first business. So tell me a bit more about your career to date, and also about your experience as a software engineer working for NVIDIA.
Yeah, so I started my career as a game designer at the very first, and that's where I do come back with all this gamification concepts, game-based learning, and everything. And I significantly, for a very long time, I worked with NVIDIA as a subject matter expert for independent software vendors and digital transformation, gaming, and everything. So back then, it was like a quite a unique position which I had. I was proud to have that position because in back in 2008, 2009, not many professional were into digital transformation. I do believe. So that experience gave me a lot of confidence in how to manage projects, how to how do you interact with your customers, yeah, and so on. So that actually I would say that built a little bit of leadership in me. And later on, I started after coming back from NVIDIA. I started my very first startup called Zena Labs, which was based out of India and Germany. So during that period of time, and we had an opportunity to work with a lot of Fortune 500 clients, to especially we worked with government agencies in the European region, with German Transport Ministry, European Parliament, European Aviation Safety Agency. So all these things was quite a great experience at the first hand, and where we would we understood the challenges upfront, and yeah, that's what my experience comes from.
That's great. What about you, Mohan? I see that you're a very experienced CTO. So what's your background and career background?
So yeah, I think my journey started kind of in a very unconventional way. Post college, I was also looking to form my own company and a startup. So I was trying to pitch for it. It's more for like it's an app for health and well-being. Back in 2019, I was working on it, and one of the investor I went to pitch, he ended up not investing, but he introduced me to Prahalad as well. So. I knew him through that interaction since like 2019, and post that I was not really like pursuing on that idea, and kind of I started working together with Prahalad, and also I had my own. I sort of like turned whatever experience I gained from trying to start that company into creating a consulting business,
Hmm.
and I was working on like diverse set of stuff like building applications, mobile games, and especially I was interested in VR. The way I came to know about VR is through uh, a digital art museum I was part of. It was one of the first immersive museum in India, and that's where I had my first experience of trying out the Oculus Quest, and immediately went and ordered the latest Quest 2 headset myself. And I thought, like, I would just create some applications and so on. So yeah, that's where I started working with VR. This was around 2021.
Hmm.
And yeah, with Zaina Labs as well, we've been like having a lot of like collaborative work between me and Prahlad, and I had like a great passion for games, and I saw this as an opportunity where we can utilize gamification for not for just for fun, but for something that can really transform uh, how things are conventionally done, and I really like that approach. I was always a big fan of like just not playing games to pass time, but like if we can play games and like get some outcome out of it, that's something that would really be beneficial. You're having fun at the same time, you're learning something. So yeah, I feel like in the traditional ed tech space for kids, this has kind of been there as something that's like very promising, and with Safer, our vision is to bring the same to all the working professionals and corporate learning as well. And we saw uh, the safety training to be like the how to say the lowest hanging fruit for how we can introduce this technology and transform how it's kind of currently being done with traditional videos and PowerPoint presentations.
Well, it's a great mission to have and very fun at the same time because you are pretty much doing what you love, which is gaming, but bringing this to something which is very serious, which is workplace safety. Um, but you guys have been around for a couple of years, so you know you're not just starting from scratch now. You have already built a product. But when you look back to what you built in the first place, like the first prototype, and compare to what you have now, what is the main difference?
So it's always a learning experience, right? So when we started, whatever the the knowledge we had about the industry, so we built uh, the product according to that standard, and so we had a very different sort of understanding at back then. So not like complete understanding of end to end what's happening in safety. Still, I think I would
Mhm.
say still we have a lot to learn, like experts from you as well. But yeah, so but later on, like when we started interacting with a lot of our customers and some for some pilot projects and everything, so yeah, we understood that it's like it's not only about the training, right? So it's always about it's also about like what happens much before the training, and how do you manage your training, what happens during the trainings, how do you measure the training, the performance. There is no measurable outcomes. Somebody gets trained, but how do you see that the person, he or she has got trained and has a good knowledge about what they have to do it. So this results in more of reactive, and most of the incidents do happen, recurring incidents do happen and everything. So we wanted to build a complete platform where it is completely managed. The training is completely managed, and there is like a a kind of safety events where they could have visibility. So what we understood also in one of the organization is that there's a completely broken system of siloed data. So division A has something, division B has something. Nobody has nobody's speaking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like a poor visibility. So how do you bring all this into one big robust platform with all these features? It's like you use our platform, you have a complete visibility, you have a complete control of everything, as per your role, like a head of safety or head like a HR or whatever it is. So you need to have a complete control when you're using some tool. It's not like just okay, you assign training, you go and do the finish the training and come back, but what happens during the training or what happens after training, nobody has doesn't have a visibility. So all these things we try to bring in into our platform, and I think that's where we have evolved from what we were few months back, and now I think we have pretty much, our product is pretty much mature. And yeah, so that, but still we are trying to integrate with a lot of features with the given the power of AI today. We have more flexibility to add more features into the platform. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's really interesting, and if you can explain the problem you are trying to solve, of course, there's lots of things you are doing to create like a very strong and complete platform that can address lots of things. But what is the main problem that SafeVR really address?
Yeah. So at the core of it, the problem that we are trying to address is to reduce the number of workplace incidents or accidents. Definitely, it's sort of like a great mission, and we also know the challenges along the way to achieve that. Like if the impact that we see or what we can do is let's say if an organization has X number of accidents and we are able to reduce it an X% after they have implemented our solution, there's nothing more satisfying in the world than that, right? So obviously, this is like the core of it, and if we break down this problem further, uh, that's where we derive the product insights from. So let's say we want to reduce the workplace accidents. Now, how is the workplace accident happening in the first place? So one reason is that people don't have enough awareness about safety procedures and safety protocols that they need to be following. So how do we improve the awareness? Yes, they've been like given some training when they are onboarding into the company, when they're being onboarded into the company, but that is not really effective. So how do we
Mhm.
make it more effective? So one tool that we have within our arsenal is let's gamify the training. Let's make it more interactive where people learn by doing things. So it really improves the knowledge retention. So by improving the knowledge retention, they are much more aware when they're actually like in the work site. And the other problem is lack of oversight, and like what Prahlad was mentioning earlier, how the different type of data is siloed and blinding the key stakeholders from some of the key leading indicators leading up to an accident. So how can we put in place the right form of systems and so on, so they don't focus a lot of time on just doing compliance paperwork, and overload themselves to doing measurable, impactful things. So yeah, I think by breaking down this problem, we try to like derive more and more insights, and we turn the insights into product features.
Well, that's a great way to do it. Throughout my career, I have done many trainings, as you can imagine, and some of the training were really good, but some of the training is pretty much just a compliance exercise. But when you bring interesting aspects, like you mentioned, including gamification, building something that is really interactive for the user, you're really, adding value and ensuring that the people are really learning, and they will successfully implement the learning into the workplace. Um, but well, I'm sure you appreciate that there are many conventional training companies out there. So, what really sets you apart from these traditional safety training companies in the market?
So most of the safety training is done via sort of like passive. There's no active involvement or an active interaction. It's just passive learning. So it's like active learning and passive learning, right? So active passive learning is where you watch a video or you watch a presentation, and probably at the end of the whole learning experience, you given a quiz, and there's quite a lot of ways where you just like click your way through the quiz, and you don't really have to sort of like uh, be the expert, or like nobody can say if the person is actually the expert after finishing that particular module. And this is the problem, and this is how most of the LMS do work. And for us, the core of it is to making it more interactive, where we
Mhm.
involve the people or the employees who are, putting their life at risk in these high risk situation. We simulate a similar risk and assess their decision making skill and how well they react in quite crucial situations where it determines life or death in a matter of a few seconds or few decisions. By putting them through these type of interactive simulations, we try to improve their awareness, and also we educate them on how to do, and where people learn by doing real stuff like they do in their real workplace. Uh, and that is where we see ourselves quite different from traditional learning management companies. And also, most of the learning management systems nowadays don't talk to existing safety management systems, and they are just two different systems working in parallel. And we try to close the loop where a person gets trained, and there is an assessment based on how their performance is, not based on what they answer for a quiz. And post the assessment, we monitor how they are in their workplace, and if they're involved in a same kind of incident or similar incident, we try to like put them through the same training, but with like more personalized way of learning with the use of generative AI. Yeah, we create a dynamic incident report and tailor the training to make it more personalized.
That's great. That's great. I'm really keen to see like a short demonstration of how the system works live, if you can. But before that, I'm pretty sure that you guys have deployed the system into some businesses around the world. Is there any particular type of industry where you think that your product has more, let's say, adherence, or you've seen that it has had more traction so far? Or do you think that it's a product that's it's sector agnostic and pretty much any industry can take advantage of its capabilities?
Yeah, so I would say it's sector agnostic because I think more than the industry, I think it's the person who is making the decision. So from our experience in the last, 6 years with whom we have worked, we have seen that decision makers are, maybe around 40s or 45 or something, like early millennials. So I think they have a very good understanding of what these technologies can do and how it could benefit them as in terms of for the organization and for the employees and everything. So yeah, so it's mostly the decision makers. I think it's nothing to do with the industry because we have worked with mining, we have worked with the aviation sector, we have worked with regulatory, organization. We have worked with governments and energy sector, yeah, so on. And the understanding across all these industries are that the decision maker used to be quite young, not like
Hmm.
above 50 or 60, but nothing, I'm not against them, but I would say it's basically the experience, where they are coming from, because a lot of people would have brought up through interactive media, and those people do understand and they speed up the process and everything. So I think that has been our experience so far.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
great to know.
Especially in terms of like, let's say if you have to go on industry particularly, right? Like most of the industries, the risks that can injure a person or kill a person are pretty much the same, right? So that way we want to go for, addressing that problem rather than like industry wise. And also, regardless, we do have a lot of interest from the aviation sector because the rate at which the global aviation industry is rapidly scaling up, the global uh, air travel has been like kind of like quite exponentially growing as well, and there is a serious shortage of trainers and infrastructure to train all the people who are either working on the airports and like in the runway and so on. So that is something where we did not really expect in the first place that aviation would have these type of challenges because they are quite sophisticated industry in general compared to other sort of like industries were like really non-tech. Aviation is one of the very high-tech industries, right? So they're also easy to adopt new type of technological solution because they are a very high-tech innovation first industry.
That's really interesting. I agree with you. Those industries, they have a huge demand for training, but it's not only giving training, is providing good quality and adding value to the learning journey of the employee. And I'm pretty sure that's the system that you guys have built and addressed this issue pretty well. So now let's take a deep dive into the products and user experience, right? So Mohan, how does SafeVR actually work? You mentioned about gamification. You mentioned about AI. You mentioned about other technologies. So can you please bring everything together and provide us with like a good understanding about the platform and the
Yeah,
technologies that you use to make it possible?
sure. Yes. Let me share my screen to walk you through the platform. So this is our central dashboard of
Hmm.
our, we call it the training management system. This is like a single place to kind of like have a complete overview of what is happening within the organization end to end in terms of people who are currently doing the training, what type of training, and what is the completion rate, really like some of the assessments. And safety incidents are also a crucial part, like I mentioned, right? Like tying the safety management systems with the learning management system. That's where this element comes into play. With that, we are able to assess the overall skill coverage of the organization based on how people are involved in different safety incidents and how they are performing in this training. We're able to like relate both of this and kind of create like a skill map of a company. And yeah, to dive into the safety alerts, we connect with existing safety management system, EHS software, video analytics systems through our API integration, where they can send the data about like the personnel who is involved and the type of incident. And post that, we can assign the right set of training based on the type of incident that they are involved, and have like corrective action. Once the training is assigned, we can also like track their performance, and each individual user has a comprehensive safety score. This is like an aggregated score based on how many incidents they have been part of, what type of incidents they are been part of, and then how they have been performing in these trainings. And we also have a comprehensive training assignment system where we create a customized training matrix based on the uh, job role and the type of risks involved. We will be able to see what are the recommended modules for this particular person involved in these given role. And we do have a number of modules that we are currently working on, and this is our core training library. And for example, I can take you through the permit to work module. You can see this module is compulsory for safety officer and recommended for maintenance technician and so on, just
Mhm.
to have like sort of like a division between for whom this is mandatory and who this is recommended. And yeah, I can show you a quick preview of the module itself. So all of the modules are this is an example I'm showing in VR. Maybe I have to improve the quality. Uh, all of the modules are led by a virtual human instructor. We call it like our digital safety officer, who will be providing a customized guidance and walkthrough. So if the employee is coming into the training for the first time, this walkthrough will be a general one uh, to introduce about the training and so on. If they are assigned a retraining post after they have been involved in an incident, our AI would have the context of what type of an incident or a violation they've been part of. So the AI would start with explaining the employee about like what is the violation they're part of, and just sort of like having a conversation to understand from the employee's point of view what led them to commit that violation or commit that accident. And yeah, now they have been like they are taken into the actual scenario itself, and there will be like a guided walkthrough. So all of our modules will have like two phases. One is guided walkthrough, and the second one is an assessment phase. So in the guided walkthrough, there will be like each step that will be sort of like given to the employee to follow through. Once they have done that, then they'll be put into a real world simulated assessment or a scenario where without any guidance they have to like do the procedure, and this is where we are able to evaluate whether the person has learned the particular skill or not. And we do have some minimum passing failing criteria as well for
Mhm.
each of the
Mhm.
scenario.
Well, it looks really real. The level of realism is amazing. Um, so this integration between the training requirements and safety incidents alerts, compulsory training requirements really save time at the end of the day. At the end of the day, for for the safety manager in charge of managing this whole, let's say, administrative burden, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a lot to manage, lots of requirements. So I can see that it really saves time for whoever is in charge of these requirements, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I feel like, training assignment and training management is one area we are already having some impact on reducing the administrative workload, and also we are also exploring other areas where safety managers are spending a lot of redundant time, and what are the type of redundancies that we can get rid of with the latest generative AI, because what is possible now is definitely not possible like a few months before, right? Like the AI landscape is also evolving quite fast, and there is a lot of amazing use cases that are transforming every different industry, and the HSE officers of the HC department is something where we are like really looking for implementation of this technology that can solve real problem and create real impact in terms of like reducing accidents and saving people's life.
I see in this demonstration that the software is set up in English, but can it be translated into multiple languages? Let's say you deploy the software in Brazil.
Yes, absolutely, yes. We do support multiple languages. Currently, we are working on for the most recent customer, we had a request to have the training and the platform in Spanish. So yeah, the platform itself, the translation part is quite simple, but there is like slight nuances in terms of like the generative digital human training, in terms of like the translation, which we are also like working on. So as we have like expansion into different geographies, we will keep adding the support for different languages.
I see. What about compliance? You're delivering training, let's say, permit to work, but permit to work requirements may be different in different countries. How does the software address this potential issue?
So we are following the standards of ISO, health and safety standard, as like the common baseline.
Hmm.
And when we are working with industries across different geographies where there is a little bit of change in compliance, we will do the customization as per where the company is based out of. So we start with the standard ISO as a global standard, and based on the requirement of the customer, if
You
there
can
is any
adapt and
special,
configure the system.
yes, yes.
So let's say if it's
So
in the UK, it can be the UK HC. If it's USA, it's going to be OSHA. So the system is fully customized in regards to meeting regulations requirements.
absolutely, because underlying concept is pretty much the same. The
Hmm.
mechanics will be same. There are slight nuanced changes. There, that is where we seek guidance from experts like you to help us to adopt to the regulatory changes, because we are not really the insiders of the industry, right? Because we are technology enablers. We understand the technology and how to solve the problem, but the know-hows and the inner intricacies, something that we really like looking forward for, experts like you. We look up to your advice.
Okay. I see at the bottom of your screen, Mohan, you have something called Nexus AI. What is the role of AI in making this system so, let's say, powerful? Because
So
there is
right,
about the usage of AI nowadays. Everything seems to be AI driven, and some of the stuff I've seen in the market is pretty much like it's not solid. It's pretty much fluff. So tell me about your AI, uh, you know, elements of SafeVR.
so one area where we are also looking for applying AI is definitely the safety alerts flagging. So we can also work with third-party safety alerting system, but we also are developing our in-house computer vision model. If the customer do not have safety alert system in place, we can connect with their existing camera systems, and we're also looking for partnerships, and we are also like look parallelly like developing and testing how we can create our own system as well. Apart from this, right now we have the AI to help to answer some of the simple questions like who are the top performers of this month, and like just to have like a sort of like a chatbot. This has been a
Mm-hmm.
very nascent stage at this moment. And like I said earlier, we are looking for use cases, and we are looking for different areas where we can actually not just use AI to sort of like simply call ourselves AI enabled, but to like my vision is that we should whatever we do, it should be like 10x better from how things are done currently. So we are always looking for that 10x better opportunity, and it's our responsibility to find out how, with the use of technology, to make that 10 times better.
Okay, that's great. Um, I have one question for you, Prahlad. You clearly have a vision for the products for the next couple of years, right? So, how do you see these markets and the demand for immersive training technology in in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years?
So it's definitely there is a much bigger need in today's world. But I would say back 3 4 years ago, or let's say 5 years ago, it was more than a novelty than a necessity. So that mindset has definitely changed, and now they see it's a must have, not nice to have. They have moved away from that, and now based on our a lot of discussions with potential customers, and our own customers as well. So they have been increasingly seeing this replacement for traditional training. So what is the replacement, the alternative? What is the best alternative? I think the COVID also played a biggest role in changing the mindset.
Okay.
So what are the biggest, the best alternative for traditional training in terms of, measurable ROIs, and what kind of metrics they can track and everything. So basically, that comes to digital platform. So even within the digital platform, so what is that? For an industry like safety, where there are like high risk scenarios are involved, and the
Hmm.
knowledge retention is it's very very important. So again, in name of digital platform, you can't say that you open a video or you open some basic e-learning and say this is like a digital learning. So it's again you're doing the same mistake. So so let's move on to the next stage with immersive learning. So immersive learning, apparently doesn't have to be with like a VR or something. So immersive learning is basically, it could be in form of web-based learning, or like for mobile-based learning, and obviously go to the next level of experience that could be VR. Um, so so in immersive learning, you are having a complete gamified approach to the objective. Like you go step by step, you are playing that character, you are being yourself in that character. You are an avatar, I would say, and you are going around doing the objective with in a much more interactive and engaging way. So you're learning all these things in a much step by step approach with a more entertaining way, I would say. So because I would take an example, a small example. A few years ago, one of the customer came to us and said, hey Prahlad, all our employees are complaining that we have like 60 to 70 slides, and 90 to 200 pages of PDFs to go through. So what is that we can do here? So we actually we also were quite new at the time. and we started working with a much more like a gamification approach and everything. So based on our, we both our experiences, we tried to see what is the best we can do, and really it worked. It was a big success within that company, and everybody started learning. Not just because earlier it was like a mandate, but now the employees started learning in a much more engaging and entertaining way. And also the company also had huge ROIs actually, because earlier people has to travel to a certain destination for mandate training, like let's say quarterly or annually or half-yearly training. Then once this digital platform and immersive training has been implemented, people used to train from their own their own geographies and locations. So the company were able to save a lot of time and the productivity, and also obviously the logistics cost.
Mm-hmm.
So over the 3 years time frame, I think they had saved more than 70% of the cost. But still, it immersive training is complementing traditional training also. It's not like completely replacing this, but obviously it's complementing. But the measurable ROIs here is that 70% of the cost was saved. So it's a big achievement. And over the 3-4 years time, employees were well, knowledge retention were very high, and there were like less incidents, and the training was quite very very well organized, I would say.
Okay, understood. And you mentioned about traditional safety training, and as AI and other technologies get more mature, do you think that what you're developing here will eventually replace traditional safety training, or do you think that it's more like adding value to the process and pretty much complementing what exists today in terms of, let's say, face to face training, or more traditional safety training, as you mentioned, the person with like a bunch of slides to go through. So, what's your vision for the next couple of, let's say, months or years, as you see AI becoming more accessible, and the cost for developing novel technologies like yours gets more, let's say, affordable as well.
So I would say it's not going to completely replace, but it will be more of an hybrid. It could,
Hmm.
like I mentioned, it could be a they can leverage the platform. So for an example, where many big enterprises, they have to train people, at least the mandate training, like hundreds and thousands. So it's not that every time a physical trainer has to be present in all these locations and in all these places. So it comes with time, cost, the productivity and everything. So by replacing a good digital platform for the training, the all this the trainers or the enterprises can leverage the training across, and it could be more effective and much more, they can accelerate the training. The same time, there could be an AI instructor at one location, and there could be a physical trainer at other location.
Hmm.
So this enhances the training, and also it also reduces the all this unwanted logistics, the cost involved, the time involved, and everything. So everybody is getting trained at the same time parallelly in a much more better and engaging way. And I believe you also mentioned about the cost and everything. So I think the more the technologies are scaling today with AI and everything, I think the costs are at a fraction right now, when compared to 5 years ago, the softwares, the development cost, the resources were quite I would say less. But now today you have lot of resources for us as a company to leverage those resources to build things quite quickly. And AI is also becoming much cheaper, I would say. And
Hmm.
also it will going forward in the next 2-3 years, it will also become more powerful and also more affordable, I would say. So we are at a very at a stage where things are really picking up, and a lot of new technologies has come in. I think it's time that we embrace all these technologies and take advantage of it.
Hmm.
step taken, raise your hand and shift to the next stage of all these experiences.
No, I totally agree. It's time to embrace and to shift our mindsets and be open for the change and being, of course, more prepared for becoming leaders in the digital age. Of course, that's you presented us with many advantages of your system, right? But when it comes to AI, we still have issues in terms of, I would say, ethical and compliance issues. Sometimes AI hallucinates. And how do you address those potential issues in regards to enabling AI and other technologies to shape the products? How do you balance innovation with risk, governance, and compliance?
So I think the primary challenge with at least the current AI, like especially if we consider the like language models, right? Nobody understands how they work under the hood, or like they're kind of like called as deep neural networks, and there is still a lot of research on how neural networks are um, working and what drives them to make a sort of particular decision. Especially when we are working on the application layer of the language models, one of the uh, key aspect or challenge is hallucination, like you mentioned. And to solve the problem, there are quite a few techniques which are also evolving. So one of the technique is called as retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, which is like a very fundamental foundational technique to solve the hallucination problem, where we augment the knowledge. We don't rely on the knowledge of AI, but we rely on the intelligence of AI. So we use the AI as an intelligence adapter on top of the knowledge we have.
Hmm.
So the way that we in our organization, let's say, use that particular system is for our digital human character. The augmentation of knowledge is based on the company specific safety protocols or training. So if we already have some PDF, PowerPoint presentations, and so on, we can use that as a knowledge base upon which the AI is sort of working on top of. And every question can be addressed based on strictly the knowledge, and it doesn't like go wild on to like answering something that it doesn't know. Just it's very important to make the AI say that I don't know, right? Like most of the AIs don't say I don't know, right? So that is where the use of AI in a responsible way comes into play. And yeah, in terms of the compliance as well, right? Like the compliance kind of constantly evolves time to time. So it's our responsibility to uh, keep on updating the knowledge base of the AI and also the training programs as
Great, great. And in terms of what's next for SafeVR in the next couple of months, uh, what um, what can your customers expect in terms of new partnerships or something new that it's going to be launched in the market? So anything that we should be keep an eye open for.
Uh, yeah, so definitely, of course, we are working constantly in enhancing the whole platform and the training modules and everything. So what we are trying to do currently is that we are trying to reach out to some of the diversified in sectors, large enterprises, to co-work with them, and so this enables us to understand the pain point, the challenges, what's happening within at the front end, and also this also enables us to build actual use cases instead of working in a isolated way. We can co-work with co-innovate with all these large enterprises, because different industries might have different challenges
Hmm.
uh, So we are trying to close on that loop, and I think in the next few months we have some exciting updates. We are trying to partner with some of the channel partners as well, where we could leverage some of their airport customers as well. So they have like more than 50 to 100 airport customers across North America and Oceania region, and so they're also looking at having a kind of an airport aligned safety content for their airport customers, because what they were mentioning is that in the next 2 3 years there will be a huge shift in the airports as well, because that's one of the fastest growing industry, with a lot of aircraft orders, and
Yeah.
the new terminals are being opened everywhere. So this results in manpower, increase in manpower as well. But how do you meet all these challenges to train these people? So that's where all this training would come into picture, and that's where we're also gearing up with the channel partner to address these challenges. So the next 6 months to 12 months, we have like quite a very exciting roadmap to work on. I think in a few months from now, I think you'll be hearing a lot of updates from our side as well. Yeah.
Well, sounds really exciting, Prahlad. And it's if someone wants to keep an eye open for these exciting announcements, or if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
I think the best is, of course, follow us in the LinkedIn company page, and of course, follow us, Mohan and myself. We constantly post some key, updates. It's not like that, we keep on spamming updates, but we do post really, really key updates. So maybe once in a week, once in 2 weeks, that we do keep posting, because all these developments do take a little bit of time. So when we
Hmm.
see that, okay, so we're also trying to finalize certain partnerships as well. So I think when we see that in the horizon, and we try to post an update, I think the best way to follow us in LinkedIn. Yeah.
Also, our YouTube channel has our most recent
Yeah.
product updates, glimpses into how our different modules work and so on. Yeah, I think yeah, that's also another interesting place.
Amazing, amazing. Well, that's the part of our talk, that I enjoy the most. It's something really casual. It's just like two rapid questions, one to each one of you. So just answer with the first thing that comes to your head. Okay. So the first one goes to you, Prahlad. In one word, what is the biggest risk, the biggest opportunity, and what keeps you personally inspired to keep building SafeVR?
So, what is the biggest risk, and what is the biggest? Um,
Opportunity, and what keeps you inspired to build SafeVR every day? To wake up saying, well, today's a great day to build, let's make it happen.
I think I wouldn't say the biggest risk. I think we see a lot of potential opportunities. I think what keeps us driving is that whenever we face challenges with our customers, I think that's the biggest motivation for us as well, because right now all the enterprises at a stage where they are trying to understand these technologies. They are at least they're trying to embrace the technology, not trying to make it as a mandate. So I think that's one of the key things that keeps our motivation. And so today, whenever we start our day, so we try to see like who is our customer comes with most challenging question for us, so that we do understand, we do learn from that, and it also helps us to okay, our understanding towards safety also enhances. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you for that. And for you, Mohan, as CTO of the company, I see my safe colleagues, my fellow professionals, a bit unsure about what to do to catch up with everything that is going on in terms of AI, digitalization, and other technologies that are shaping how we manage workplace safety, right? So it's the feeling is that most of them are overwhelmed with the amounts of information coming to their way. Can you please give a piece of advice for a safety professional that wants to understand more about AI technology, so they can get upskilled and be more prepared for what's coming, and most importantly, to stay relevant and lead in the digital age. What's your main
Yeah,
advice?
absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, in a single word, I can say open-minded experimentation. Sort of keep experimenting with whatever comes in the way. Try out different tools. Obviously, with an open mind, the tools are also like kind of evolving. So, yeah. Uh, so the best way to stay relevant is to keep yourself open and constantly experimenting and reinventing yourself.
Sounds really good. Sounds really good. Thanks for that. Well, I don't see any question in the Q&A part of the webinar. So I just wanted to say thank you both for being available today. It's been great to get to know more about your roles, your backgrounds, the amazing products that you're building, and how SafeVR is set to, not set, how you are already transforming immersive training and ensuring that people receive the right training, but not as we used to do, like a boring sitting in a classroom and going through hundreds slides in a PowerPoint presentation. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what the future brings for you guys. I'll be following your journey, and thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much
likewise,
for
Lucas.
the
Thanks.
opportunity.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks for having us here today, and it was like really pleasure to share about us as founders and about Safer, yeah, and our journey and our vision as well. So thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, guys, thank you very much, and thanks for being with us today. It was Safety Beyond Compliance, episode 3. Very soon, I'm going to announce episode 4, so stay tuned, and thanks for your support. Stay safe, stay ahead. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.